steak sandwich is today's recipe. Who doesn't love themselves a nice steak sandwich on the day after a nice family barbecue? Made from the leftovers and the remaining steak. The only problem always being there is no steak left over, especially not from yesterday. But this time I tricked myself and everybody else into finally making my first steak sandwich. My special secret, I just made 2 large steaks on the same day. Alright, let's start. Here we go with 2 steaks, a beautiful T-bone or cutlet and a flank steak. The flank steak is particularly well suited to be eaten on a steak sandwich and also quite well to be stored in the fridge when already prepared. I have some Ransom's pesto here. Some might know it as wild garlic or wood garlic. It can be found in the woods during springtime and it can be stored in the fridge as pesto when sealed with olive oil for quite some time. I'll wrap a teaspoon of Ransom's pesto on the flank steak. You can do that a couple of hours ahead or just the time that it takes the meat to get to room temperature. That's usually around 30 to 60 minutes depending on the thickness of the cut. The other meat is only wrapped with some olive oil so it won't stick to the cooking grate. And of course afterwards both get nicely salted and peppered, but only after we have barbecued it. There's also some zucchini to go with it, but we're here for the steak sandwich, and the steak sandwich is what we will have enjoyed tomorrow, or at the end of this YouTube video for that matter. Isn't the future perfect? And off we go to the preheated gas grill. The grill is already really hot. It can be salted already or not, however you like it, but the only thing that we don't want on top of it is any seasoning that could burn or catch fire. The meat must sizzle really nice when you put it on a barbecue. And this time I don't use a meat thermometer because I know very well how long it'll take the meat to grill on each side. Only about 3 minutes from the first side. It takes another 2 minutes from the second side, and then we turn the heat off. We'll turn the meat only once if possible. And do not move it around any further on the grill. Then we'll let it rest for about 10 minutes with the heat turned off. Next day. Yay! Here are the ingredients that we need for the steak sandwich. Bread, cheese for the Philly cheesesteak version of it, salad, honey eggs and mustard for honey mustard mayonnaise. We have some onions for caramelized onions because every steak sandwich needs glazed onions and a honey mustard mayonnaise. Mayonnaise goes well with every steak sandwich, and of course we make our own mayonnaise, but first we have to put the onions on the stove. They take too long. Always saute the onions slowly over low heat. Onions take time, and that is well worth it. Trust me on this. And the honey mustard mayonnaise. Then we make the mayonnaise from the eggs and the oil, some mustard for seasoning and to emulsify, to stabilize the emulsion, some salt and pepper for seasoning. And if you want to check out the mayonnaise recipe and this recipe for steak sandwich, go ahead and check out the link in the description. Now we got ourselves some really nice honey mustard mayonnaise. Cut the bread open, taste the honey mustard mayonnaise. Yeah, I cannot not try it. Now cut the meat. Put it in a Ziploc bag, like this one, and store it in the refrigerator overnight. You can still see the wild garlic pesto on top of it. And now, very, very important. Always cut against the grain, against the flow of the fiber of the meat. If you do this, then you'll get rewarded with wonderfully tender meat. An absolutely brilliant tenderness, and everybody will enjoy the local meat from your local butcher, prepared by you. Not just cook absolutely beautifully, but cut the correct way. Your meat will be tender and juicy, really juicy, so that we can definitely get the bread dipped into that really nice meat sauce and wild garlic sauce dipping experience. Again, I can't help myself but to try a little bit first, and this is actually very important, and home cooks do this far too sparse. Tasting. Really always try how the individual components taste and how they taste together. Now on to the finishing touches of the onions, deglazing. I took a white wine here. I should have gone with some vinegar though. White wine vinegar to get more of that sour sweetness play. The bread is buttered and put in the pan where the onions were glazing in just a second ago. And then this is how it looks like if you don't butter your bread. That's why I buttered the second one. Now the sandwich will be put together. Honey mustard, then the meat, the delicious onions on top. The onions are still warm. That's how the cheese that goes on next especially likes it. Nevertheless, I put the whole thing back in the oven, but only very briefly, just 2 minutes. Basically the time in between I fix up each sandwich, the time it takes me to prepare the next sandwich. You can make your sandwich with cheese, you can do the whole thing without cheese, but whatever you do, honey mustard mayonnaise and roasted onions are a must. Don't you think? Let me know in the comments how you like your steak sandwich. The philosophy behind a steak sandwich and Philly cheesesteak is that of simplicity. Using the leftovers. Whatever's left in the fridge, no fancy ingredients, just putting leftovers on your sandwich. It should take you just the time you have in between 2 quarters of a football game, on game day or baseball team to walk off the field. That's the philosophy behind the Philly cheese and every steak sandwich. And here you see why we have made the honey mustard sauce a bit more liquid. The whole thing can be absorbed into the salad like a dressing. After all, you don't want some lettuce to just be stuffed into a piece of dry bread, but some great taste along with it, and that's why the lettuce should always be dressed up. Now you can see why we need the paper bags, cause the meat sauce and dressing and mayonnaise and all the deliciousness and the whole thing is dripping out of the bun. And now here comes the variation, the 2 cheesesteak sandwiches. Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. So, although they wouldn't put lettuce on top of a steak sandwich in Philly, nevertheless it's quite a nice component, with the salad in between, a little arugula on top. I just had to cut it into halves and take a peek inside, and not just that, but also take a bite and try the whole thing. You know, we talked about the importance of tasting the individual components, but also you should always taste the overall composition and how it turned out. If everything plays together, the crunchiness of the bread, the nice melted cheese, the hotness of the mustard and the mayonnaise, play of acidity of the wine, and the slowly caramelized onions. Time to plate and ready for serving. This is cheesesteak sandwich. Enjoy.